We're at one of my favourite venues today, Meadowlands Fishery, just on the outskirts of Coventry, and it's a glorious day, really nice and sunny, plenty of carp moving about on the surface. I'm hopefully going to try a bit of plopping, a bit of a slapping and tapping to try and catch those, maybe some fish down the edge. But I'm going to show you how to have a lovely, simple, exciting day catching big carp on a bag of Fishery 8mm pellets and my trusty MTX2 V2 pole. Well, I'm itching to get started, but I better show you the bait in a bit more detail. So these are Fishery 8s. They've just got an odd little red marker pellet in them so you can tell, but they're like a nice, dense, big Coppins variety pellet and perfect for catching big carp, really. They don't break down too fast. So I generally have most of the pellets just nice and dry in the tub like that, but I do have some that I've just popped a little bit of absolute fish oil on as well, just a little glaze. You can just see there's a little glaze on there, and that will give off a little bit more attraction, and sometimes I just think it helps draw the fish into your hook bait. So we've got those as another option as well. I'll start on the normal dry unglazed pellets, but that's definitely an option. Sometimes a bit trickier when you're popping an oilier pellet in a bait band when your hands get a bit greasy and everything, but I'm going to stick to normal to begin with. And the only other thing I've got on my side tray is some 8mm, some red 8mm should I say. So they're the same sort of variety of pellet, but just a nice deep red colour. So just as a nice change bait. But generally I try and match the hatch. That's what they see here, these normal sort of 8mm. So that's what we're gonna try and catch on mostly. But we've got the reds as a nice little change bait. Well, on a big open lake like this, especially in this sort of Midlands area, a really popular way of starting a session or a match is going out straight out long and trying a slap. It's got a ripple on it today, so I can't actually see too many fish for mugging. But if you go out with a rig, what have I got that? About 15 inches deep, 8mm pellet, 0.3 dibber. So there's an odd swirl, but I can't really see the fish particularly well. But if I go out slapping, I'm more likely to catch those fish. It's a really weird phenomenon, but it catches really big carp, especially on these big open lakes here, Barston lakes. I've even seen them doing it at Boddington Reservoir and stuff, going out long pole, slapping an 8mm pellet, and definitely an 8 on here. They like those 8s, and it makes a lovely noise. I imagine there's a lot of noise on the surface with this ripple, so they're not going to home in on a 6mm too well, whereas an 8 makes just the right amount of noise. I've got a 0.3 gram dibber shallow float on as well, which makes a similar noise to that 8mm pellet. So I've not gone to the full extent of my pole at the moment. I like to give myself a bit of scope to go further if I want to. So I'm on just about the join of my 13 and 14 meters. Something just rolled probably about 18 meters. But they come in to investigate this noise. And because you're slapping but not feeding, the only thing they find is your hook bait. And don't be surprised to just get a bite out of the blue, even if you don't think there's anything there. But on any peg on this lake, at this time of year, it's often worth a fish or two. On the good pegs, you could catch 10, 12 fish. But so I'll do a bit of plopping like that as well, just lifting and dropping. Sometimes that's more attractive, especially on the calmer days. But when there's a real old ripple on it, quite a savage sort of plop. I don't even mind if the tip of my pole hits the water or anything like that. It's extra attraction. But I expect to get one within 10 minutes if it's going to work. But quite often you'll see everyone go out on the long pole and everyone will be slapping, and most people will catch a fish on a venue like this. And it's a lovely big fish normally. It's normally the fish that are just cruising around waiting to come down the edge later on. But it's surprising, you'll even catch bream and big roach and stuff doing it as well. So We've not had any swirls, right? Sometimes they'll sniff the float. Sometimes you just got to juggle about and just get the depth dead right. So I'm going to give it 5 slaps this time and wait. But just wait now, let the fish home in on that noise and see if one comes in. There's definitely some fish. Oh, there's 2 coming in there. Go on, have it. I just saw a back. Oh, he's out there. Plop, go on. That one actually showed itself. I think I scared that one away. There's still signs of them pairing up and spawning and bits and bobs. I think most of them have got the spawning out the way now. But see, 2 came in, they were interested. And the more you slap, the more fish come in. And obviously we can feed, and later on I'll start to feed. The plane going overhead, but generally I'll just slap to begin with. See, all of a sudden there's a bit of activity. Oh, that was a bite. There was nothing there, but I've been slapping and there was definitely 3 or 4 fish in the area. I missed the bite then. But if I don't get a bite at this range, I'll move to the end of the pole and start a bit longer as well. A lot of people seem to go out 16 metres from the off, which is a bit extreme for me. I always think this fish to be caught a bit shorter. And if I can slap at sort of 14 metres, then happy days. It's a lot easier. So we'll go out a little bit more now. But we definitely had 4 or 5 fish come in then. Unfortunately, we didn't fool one. But they definitely came into that noise. Come on. There's another one. Probably 1 metre short from where I was originally slapping now, that was. So there's fish in the area. Come on, come to Johnny. Well, there's one. See, I just plopped it that time. If you think there's a fish there, ooh, Johnny boy. I'm not so noisy when I think there's a fish near the float. I'll just plop it. Come on. We definitely had a carp right by the hook bait. We might find we've got to go a little bit deeper. There's one coming this way. There we are. I just saw almost like a V of a fish heading this way, and it nailed it on the plop. So you've got to have good peripheral vision as well, and just have a look around the area where you're slapping. Fish come in, investigate the noise. That one's behaving himself for now. But these ones that come in nice and easily are often really big and don't realise they're hooked, and they'll go on a bit of a charge once they see you. So I'm only on 14 to 16 slick. I sort of swap between the yellow 14 to 16 and the green 16 to 18. I always think if you're only after 2 or 3 fish, make them all count with the yellow. If you're on a load of fish, then I might sort of plunder them a bit more aggressively with the heavier elastic. But they seem to wallow around nicely on this yellow. But you can imagine it's a massive lake. They've got a lot of room to swim. But this slick does fly a long way out. Actually, I'm not sure if he's a massive fish. Oh, he's big enough. But he's wallowing now. Sometimes you fish too heavy elastic, they bolt off a bit too abruptly. But it's always a fine sort of balancing act, getting your elastic right on a big open lake like this. But a nice long strong power kit. 14 to 16. Just get him wallowing. Let's not scare him just yet. I'm not going to put my net there until he's ready. Get him. Ah, big long one. There we go. And that's a free fish on a single hook bait, just slapping. There we are, perfectly hooked, didn't put up much of a fight, and we've not fed a single thing yet. We've just gone out and slapped an 8mm pellet. I've said it's always worth one or two big fish like this on any peg on a lake like this. But these are a bit, now he's angry. We'll pop him in the net and we'll see if we can catch another one. Well, this is our third fish on the slap, all long, angry common carp. There's loads of those in here, but they haven't been easy to catch slapping. They've definitely been coming in, but they've been sort of swirling and just misbehaving a little bit. I've juggled the depth. I've gone a bit deeper and caught this, but I actually think I should have gone the other way and gone shallower. Yeah, I've slapped 3. I've had me 3 free fish, shall we say. But I think they want a bit of bait, maybe because there's a bit more of a ripple and everything, but I just think a bit of feed and then plopping and slapping in and amongst the feed is going to be more successful than just slapping a single hook bait today. I think those red hot, flat, calm days are when slapping really comes into its own. There you are. Another long, lean common. But yeah, let's get the catapult out and let's start feeding. So we've had those 3 on the slap, but I think they want a little bit of feed going in. So I've actually reached straight for those oilier pellets. I've just fed 2 or 3 at a time, 3 times. That's it. That's all. I'm not feeding loads of bait. I'm keeping with the same rig for now. I have got a longer line rig with a slightly smaller hook on as well, if the wind drops. But I think we've got more control with this slightly shorter line rig. So I think we'll catch on this. I've shallowed it back up to about 14 inches. So there's definitely some bit more activity, even just from like 3 or 4 little feeds. I'm not feeding much at all. There was a swirl then just past my feed. There's one. They've definitely come into that little bit of a attraction. But what I'm doing, I'm trying to feed a main area, but I will go shorter and longer. See, there's a section shorter. Just see if we can nick one. Sometimes they won't come into the feed, or a lot of them won't. They'll hang around the perimeter. So I'm just going to plop it around the area of attraction. There's one there. They're definitely a bit tricky today, but I like a little puzzle. Slapping, plopping, pinging. And it's beautiful. I use the strongest catty that Matrix do, with the strong elastic, the big pouch. It's perfect for pinging sort of 6mm pellets, 8mm pellets on the pole line. But also it means you're not swapping and changing catapults as well. So if you were priming a bomb and pellet line or a Waggler line, you're still using the same catapult. So I don't particularly like to have a lighter catapult for the pole and a heavier catapult for rod and line. I just like a nice strong pingy catapult. Oh, there's one coming in. Come on, come to Johnny. There we are. a lovely way of catching them. You just got to plop it in front of their faces sometimes. If you're a foot away, they won't have it. But you've got to keep that peripheral vision going, because just looking for fish coming in and out of the peg. You can see they're swimming all over the place, but they never hang around with your hook attached to it. But his back was almost out of the water, so they're swimming quite high today. But he's not coming in anytime soon. So I'm just going to trap the top kit, 3 pellets in the pouch, and just pling, ping, ping, pling in the rough area a couple of times. Doesn't matter if you're a little bit further or a little bit shorter, because you're not overfeeding the bait, you're just making a little bit of an area of attraction. He's behaving himself. Gotcha. Bit bigger as well, that one. Biggest fish of the day so far. Oh, he's a good double. So we're only going to keep a few fish back for the camera. We're going to put most of them back. So I think 4 carp in this keep net's plenty. Well, already it's looking like it's going to be a decent day, and I do like catching them down the edge at this place. So I've got a pallet about 13 metres down the side. It's 2 foot deep right up to that pallet leg. I'm just pinging some 8mm there, not heavily, no need to, just you'll know if they're there. So I'm just pinging every now and again when I remember. I'll just lightly ping, and they'll let us know when they're there with their big tails waving. But I think we'll catch a few down there. But I'll also not forget to just ping a few out there as well. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that and we'll carry on catching shallow. As you can see from that, I spotted a fish coming into the peg from the left, and there might have been 2 fish there actually, but I plopped it in the rough area and wallop, I've caught it. And I've swapped to my longer line rig now. I class it as a mugging rig. Some people have much longer line, but this is a rig that can mug and plop and slap and do the lot really, without having so silly a length of line that you're out of control. But I can fish in the area of feed, but also if I spot a fish, there's enough line to keep the pole tip away and sort of plop it at a fish that you can spot. So but they're definitely responding best to this. I've had a few like this now, and I've had a really big one just like 7 meters out. They're often the biggest fish, really close in. Yeah, you've just got to bide your time and just look. There's no shadows, it's like a real sort of broken water, but you can see the V's, you can see little depressions in the ripples. You know, I can't physically see a shadow today on a peg like this, but the fish are so big and they're swimming nice and high that you can actually tell there's a fish swimming in that rough area. Here's a big fish. Too busy trying to talk rather than net him. It's a lovely big fish. But yeah, and it's not everyone likes the term mugging, but basically you're just plopping a fish in the direction of a cruising fish, and there's a lot of skill in trying to ascertain where the fish is, where its head is, where it's swimming to, and you're just trying to anticipate where the fish is. It's very rare that you can just dangle a pellet and it'll have it. you need to sort of time it perfectly with the fish swimming towards the pellet and get it plopping in unison, and boom, you'll have it. It's very rare that the fish will stop swimming and pick up your pellet, especially on a venue like this where it happens a lot. We'll pop that one straight back again. Another, I'm going to say £9 that one. We'll pop that one straight back. There we are. But yeah, it's all about the timing, having your wits about you and just timing it right, plopping that pellet the way it's swimming. So just check your rig. Sometimes it slips a little bit, that's fine. And I've just got it's basically the same as me slapping rig, just probably 18 inches more line. And I do have a 16 hook on this and slightly thinner line, purely because you're swinging it around, you don't want the wind to catch it. So I fish 020 on my mugging rig and I fish 023 on me slapping rig, because I can get away with thicker line on the shorter rig without the wind affecting it. So that's it, I'm looking now, can I see any fish? And they've disappeared a little bit, or there's a few hanging right off, but suddenly something will come in, as there's a big back out of the water there. So I'm still feeding that area. I say those big fish probably won't come into the feed, but they're curious, they'll hang around. So we just try and pick them off. Oh, it's a great big one. He might be too high. When they're swimming that high, they're not always muggable, but we'll see if he'll have it. No. See, when they're really high like that, I don't really think they're fishing, they're feeding. So, sod's law now, I can't see any now. So the thing to do now is ship your pole back, but I have it all together. Let them come into your peg. Let them come in. Oh, there's one. There's actually might be two there. If you go too thick on the line, it really will affect your presentation on a big water like this. There's one coming in. Got him straight away. But you just got to get your wits about you and see where they are. You know, you sometimes get little windows of opportunity where the wind just drops and there's a few muggers about, and then the wind gets back up and it's back to sort of normal fishing. But it's a lovely way of fishing. No, it's not everyone's cup of tea, and I get that, but I think it's real good fun and really sort of skillful. It's definitely it wins a lot of matches, and you can see why when they're big kippers like this one. And that's a real big fish, and he's really hanging on out there. But whilst I'm playing fish, I'm always looking, seeing where the other fish are, where they're coming from. You sometimes get a pattern where they come from the same side or from the same area of the peg, but also I'm looking down the side. Are there any fish down there? You know, use these quiet times to have a look. Can't do a lot more when they're that big. It's massive. Look at the paddle on that. Big common carp, that. A monstrous Meadowlands common, definitely 15. Great big belly on him. We'll just pop him straight back because he's put up a hell of a fight as well. Look at the size of that. Go on then, lovely. I think we better look at the rigs. Right, we've got 3 rigs set up today, 2 for shallow and 1 for down the edge. The rig I've started off with is what I class as my slapping rig. So that's got a 0.3 Matrix dibber shallow. Now it's got 3 number 9s under the float. Sometimes I put 2 number 8s under there. If I was using 4mm pellet, 6mm pellet, I'd be able to put another shot on, but those 8mm are heavy. So you undershot it slightly because you have got a big 8mm weighing it down. So, but anyway, this is on 023 line, and then I've got a 4-inch hook length, could be 6-inch, doesn't matter how long with this because there's nothing at all down the line. 4-inch hook length, 023 to a 14 MXC4 and one of the new super soft bait bands. So they're pretty much bomb proof. They don't perish or anything, so they go around the pellet lovely, and they're not too thick, so they hook the pellet nicely, and a pellet seems to stay on those really well. So but MXC4s, absolutely bomb proof hook. I've never had one open up, and the points last really well. And my favourite Matrix hook, they're just really strong and perfect for a big carp like this. They won't let you down. So I've got a 14 on the mugging rig, 14 to 16 slick, as I've already said, on a power kit. And then my mugging rig, or my longer line rig, or my plopping rig, whatever you want to call it, exactly the same, 0.3. Now the only difference, bit of slime there, is this is on 020 line and an 020 hook length and a 16 MXC4. Just everything's just that little bit more scaled down, still strong, still beefy, but not as beefy as my shorter line slapping rig, because I need a bit more control with the extra long line, which is probably, I'm going to say 1 metre, 3 foot, something like that above. So not a silly amount of length of line. There's a lot of wind and blusteriness here, so you don't want the rig blowing all over the place. You want it to be able to swing to fish, but still want a bit of control and to be able to hit the bites if you do need to strike. Hopefully they hook themselves. But yeah, that's got a 16 on. So I swap between a 16 or a 14. They're both good for an 8mm pellet. So yeah, again, power kit, 14 to 16 slick. My edge rig, some people use the power margin, but I'm a massive fan of the mudline float, so I tend to use that for 90% of my margin fishing, because I've got a big heavy pellet on. I don't need loads of stability in the rig, so I've just got a nice 0.2 gram float on, and that's got I think that's 5 number 10s down the line, 023 main line, 023 hook length, and a 14 MXC4. And I do like the green 16 to 18 for down the edge here. If I was absolutely bagging, I might put the red 18 to 20 on, but the last few times I've been here, the green's been nice. I haven't had to fish really strong elastic. It's just controlled them nice and give me a chance of getting everything in. So, so yeah, 16 to 18 slick on that. I've got a longish line above because, again, they come into really shallow water at this place. You don't always want a short line above the float. And with an 8mm pellet, you don't really miss the bites. You're not like, it's not like F1 fishing or anything. So a longish line above the float. I can even use this as a makeshift shallow rig if I want. So the only difference with this rig, I've got the large flexi toss pot on as well, with the hole on, and I'll catapult big pot, shake 8 to 10 8mm in or whatever, but I like to have the big toss pot on for that. So that's it, that's our 3 rigs. I've not had a go down the edge yet, but I've only seen one swirl, but I'm itching to have a go, see if we can end the session with a couple of fish down the edge. Right, first look down the edge. I've seen a few signs now whilst we've been talking about rigs, so I'm just going to pop a couple more, say 7 or 8 8mm in my pot. All I've been doing is catapulting down there, but I just want to tighten things up a little bit for when I actually drop my rig in. So we've just that little bit more of a hot spot, because my catapulting's been a bit all over the place, but I don't mind that. Don't get too precious about catapulting 8mm down the side, because they soon clear them up. So it's 2 foot exactly down there, and I'm going to fish 13 metres, but I'm going to leave the 14.5 metre section on as well, because obviously it gives me a bit more pole to buy for shipping if something shoots off into the middle. So I've got the whole 14.5 metre section still added, but I'm going to fish 13. We'll see. Oh, there's a swirl there already. So I'm just fishing, I'm going to pop them in slightly away and then bring my hook bait a little bit closer to the platform leg. Sometimes even in that 2 foot of water, they don't always give themselves away. So even if you've not seen a swirl down there, there's one there though. Even if you've not seen a swirl, doesn't mean they're not there. And obviously that swirl's going to be their tail. So, ooh, we missed that one. Didn't scare the fish though. Something came straight into that. Still there, we didn't scare it. There we are. Wallop. And that is my first drop in down there. But we've primed it for a little bit. We've not fed pints and pints of bait. We haven't even got through half a bag of pellets. Such a nice, cheap and effective way of fishing and singling out those big fish. But I do like this 16 to 18 down the side for that elastic wise. I use the red 18 to 20 a lot, but I don't know, this is my favourite margin elastic at the moment. I'm just swinging around, trying to get on my rollers if I can, but the pole will go where it needs to go if I can't reach my rollers. There we are, we've reached our rollers. Let's just break down. Still got a few sections. Nice proper edge pig, hopefully. They tend to be a little bit bigger, although the ones we've had shallow and mugging have been big. So they've all been big today, basically. There we are. We might as well just feed a few down there whilst we're waiting. Don't have to be too accurate, although that was. Good fish anyway. I'll get him first go if we're lucky. Oh, terrible netting. We had him, but he weren't quite in the net. We'll have another go. He's behaving. Would have been brilliant, that, wouldn't it? Like a fully scaled. Well, I've had me 2 chances and I'm absolutely useless, aren't I? Third time lucky. But he's behaving, he's not like silly angry. Oh, now he is. It would have been great if I got him first go. When you miss him, that's it. This time. Come on. I'm not panicking. I've missed him, but it doesn't matter. Your mates might take the mickey on the next peg, but let them. You'll have the last laugh when it's in your landing net. All right, this time. Gotcha. No wonder he didn't go in first time. There's another long fish. We've had prettier fish than this one, but he'll do. Pop him straight back. Well, there we are, thoroughly enjoyable session at a fantastic venue at Meadowlands, and it's gone exactly how I wanted it to, really. I've slapped 3 at the start, and then they've gone a bit funny, so I've started feeding and plopping the rig around, swapped to that mugging rig, mugged a few, real nice fish, and then we've ended the session down the side in 2 foot of water. And they wanted bait, they wanted a bit of bait, but they didn't want loads. I've got loads of 8 mils left. I've got more than enough for another session here. It's a cheap way of fishing, exciting way of fishing. You're catching quality fish. We've had some real big kippers today, and just an absolute pleasure to fish like that, not breaking the bank, using nice strong tackle and catching real meaty fish. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and there's loads more videos like this on the Matrix YouTube channel, so check that out, and I'll see you again another time.